I'll come back to it. Yes, Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here. And before I lead into my first question for Dr. Marshall, I'd like to invite you and CSIRO academics and scientists to a presentation here in Parliament House on Wednesday, the 29th of the 3rd, 2017. We're going to be showing access to more than 280 data sets worldwide, and the evening is titled "The Climate Data, Come Check for Yourself." So we would like to do that. Would you like to attend?
Senator, I'll have to check my schedule, but if I can, I will.
I'll just pass off another comment. The man who'll be showing the data, access from all around the world, has developed a remarkable software that you might be interested in commercialising. So, Dr. Marshall, Peter Spencer, I visited him in court, federal court, on his appeal for the stealing of his property rights by the Howard government back in 2007, I think it was. And that's devastated thousands of farmers across rural and regional communities, and they've been devastated because they've lost their property rights, and that has a flow-on through communities. There are communities devastated in Queensland. We've spent $10 billion thereabouts on desal plants, and most of them have never turned at all. We have energy prices, security, reliability, stability all being destroyed. And costs, again, to businesses. Number one issue when I visited southwestern Queensland just last week. South Australia's being destroyed. And all of this with no cost-benefit analysis. And until I arrived, Senator McDonald said last year there has been no debate on the science in this parliament, ever on climate. So I've got a lot of questions.
You said this, Senator McDonald?
Yes, Senator McDonald, on the last Monday before we rose before Christmas, Senator Sinodinos. When I sent you, I got your presentation from CSIRO on the on your claim that we're affecting the climate through our carbon dioxide, and then I gave you a response, and you sent an email acknowledging the response.
Senator Roberts, you've got to ask a question.
I am going to. So
when it comes, it'll be a whopper.
That's going to be a very short question. You gave me acknowledgement that you have received my response and that it has been shared with people, but you haven't said anything about the report yet. Will you be responding to my report?
I wasn't planning to, Senator.
Okay. So I'm going to provide questions in detail on notice, because I'd like to know why you're not going to respond. Have you got any idea why you're not going to respond?
Senator, I wasn't aware that you were looking for a response. I thought it was just provided for our information, so I scanned it and passed it on to
Senator, can I ask,
Sure.
The information you've provided to CSIRO is what exactly?
Well, it questions their presentation to me, because CSIRO has not got any empirical evidence that we, out through our carbon dioxide, are affecting the climate.
And your expectation was, in providing that material, that CSIRO would evaluate that and provide some responses? Well,
I assumed they would, because they've got no empirical evidence proving human causation of global warming or global variability.
Well, can I say from my point of view, I'm happy for CSIRO to provide commentary on your material. I don't see that there's a problem in doing that.
Okay, thank you. I won't go through the details then of that I was going to. I may put them on notice, but I don't need to go through them now. I'll look forward to your response. So, when do you think we could get that response by?
Oh, Senator, it'd be unfair of me to pick a time. I'd have to confer with the team who has to actually do the work.
Would it be months, years, weeks?
No. It'll be in a reasonable time frame, which reflects good faith on our part.
Okay, thank you. I don't need to ask these questions. I've just got one more question related to that. Actually, it's related to a journalist who asked a question of CSIRO recently. Because one of the things that stunned me about the CSIRO, well, it actually didn't surprise me, but when I asked the question, what in particular is there in the climate record of the last 2,000 years that indicates we are facing any danger now? I was immediately told by your scientist, who I won't name, but he was there, and he said, I've said nothing about danger. And then I said, yes, but there's obviously danger in this, otherwise we wouldn't be destroying industry. And his I think it's his boss, then said, there is nothing in, we don't comment on danger because it's an emotional word, we leave that to the politicians to use. So having been told that there's no danger in the climate record, I would like to know what it is that CSIRO is actually telling the government. If you could comment on that, please, as well, because that is an important part. It's the second point in my executive summary of my response to you.
Sure, Senator. So there's a wide range of advice, but primarily CSIRO has two fundamental data sets, one around the temperature of the ocean and how those temperatures have changed, and the other around the CO2 content of the atmosphere. In that area, we also have an isotopic analysis of the type of CO2, the isotope, and have shown that that's uniquely linked to the burning of fossil fuels. It's true that the vast amount of temperature data, for example, the temperature of the air, the temperature of land, comes from other sources such as NASA and BOM, Bureau of Meteorology. But even the BOM data, 40 odd years ago, CSIRO built a lot of the capability, a lot of the equipment that enabled those measurements, particularly, for example, at Cape Grim. We also created the weather models, and I've got to say, as a kid, the one-day forecast wasn't very accurate, but today the 7-day forecast is probably more accurate than the one-day was when I was a kid, and it's amazing to me that the technology is able to model that today, and CSIRO built most of that infrastructure.
Your report the CSIRO report to me has got no explanation of any causation by our carbon dioxide. So I'd look forward to, in particular, seeing that, because I've detailed why that doesn't show that. We also have an assessment from a former person who formerly looked after a weather station for the Bureau of Meteorology, and he has done an analysis of the Bureau's forecasts over just days in advance, and they're not very positive. They're very questionable. So I would like to know why CSIRO has not done due diligence on the Bureau of Meteorology data, and I would also like to know why CSIRO relies upon NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies, because I've been communicating with NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies Director, Gavin Schmidt, and he was very quick to respond to my first letter. In that letter, in his response, he admitted that the NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies temperature data is the same as the NOAA data. And what we've known for a while, but no one has admitted, is that there have been 4 data sets claimed to be independent, but they're all the same data set at heart. So CSIRO has not done any due diligence on that, we were told, yet they rely on it. We want to know why.
So happy to take that on notice, Senator. We have
Sure.
a 50-year relationship with NASA, so shouldn't be hard to...
Yeah, and their database is severely compromised and questioned. And now we've just learned that a bill has been passed in the US Congress
Senator Roberts,
to remove...
could I ask a question?
Sure. Are you aware that the US Congress has passed a bill to remove NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies from studying climate and get it back to science?
I was aware of that, Senator.
Okay. So I'd like to know if you're going to do any more due diligence, or actually going to start doing due diligence on the records that you use as the basis for your claims.
So happy to take that on notice,
Thank
Senator.
you. And the other thing is the journalist, I'm sorry, I got distracted then. The journalist who we both love and adore, you've had your issues with him. We are now having issues with him. Apparently...
Which journo is this?
Peter Hannam.
Peter Hannam.
Hannam, yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't like him. What's the problem?
Oh, we just had problems
Senator
with him. I love him.
Senator Roberts, can we just please concentrate on our questions
Sure.
with CSIRO, please?
He apparently contacted CSIRO for a statement in response to my statement that CSIRO had expressed no danger, had ever been advised by CSIRO on climate. And CSIRO apparently gave him a partial copy of a transcript. Now, CSIRO asked us not to release that transcript, and we said we wouldn't because we wanted you to go ahead with the presentation. So we said we wouldn't release that transcript. You asked us not to. We would not release the recording either. But I know our transcript of the recording is accurate because I've checked every word. Now, what CSIRO released to the journalist is wrong. So I would like to know how we can make sure and how we can compare the accuracy of that transcript. So I'd like to come to your office and sort that out.
Senator, did you want to go to the detail?
I'm
of
happy
what
to go to
happened there,
CSIRO or someone from CSIRO to come to me and
Sure.
go through that transcript. We've got the recording and the transcript because CSIRO has either made an error or that journalist is lying.
Senator, Peter Mayfield, Acting Executive Director for Environment, Energy and Resources. I'm aware of the meeting and the recordings that came from that, so we do have a transcript. And I'm also aware that there was an arrangement that would be for internal purposes at the time, so that people understood the information well. At this point in time, if you wish to compare the transcripts, we would be happy to do that.
Page 37. So how are we going to check it?
We have a number of options, but
want me
we're
to call
happy
you?
to arrange a meeting and share.
Yeah, you get your people to call his people. or
We'll
vice
do that.
versa.
Yeah.
I'll be...
Work it out.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll check with each other in the break because we've
It'll
got to
be
get
our
that
pleasure.
sorted out. This
Senator
journalist
Roberts,
has got to be
we've
held
got to move on to
accountable.
some other senators. You haven't got any more
Thank you very
questions.
much, Chair. That's
Thank
all.